everybody. Welcome back to the Everyday Night. I'm Joe.
And I'm Jeff.
And Jeff,
Yes, Joe.
I'm thinking about history a lot.
Really?
And,
I've been thinking
and
about the future a lot.
yeah, well, it's all connected because I'm thinking about
True.
history and current events. Um,
So the
and
past, present, and future.
yes,
That's
what
a lot to
was,
think about, Joe, all at once.
it is. And that's why I've fortified myself with a beverage, which I'll
Oh,
get into in a moment. But I was particularly thinking about something that happened 85 years ago, 85 years and a week or so ago.
and just to be clear, neither of us were born then.
No, no, but I certainly heard about it
Yeah.
from
Well,
my parents. Um, January 6th, 1941.
ooh, a significant date.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, January 6th. But this January 6th was something good happened, and it was President Franklin Roosevelt's State of the Union address to Congress. And in that, he talked about something he called the Four Freedoms. And a lot of people know them from Norman Rockwell's paintings of the Four Freedoms.
Hmm.
And I thought that that's something that we could talk about because why they're important, how they relate to the virtues, of course, and what it will take to maintain them.
Well, some of them are yet to be established,
Yes, yes,
regardless of maintaining them.
yes. I quite agree. So this conversation required some fortification, and so how have you chosen to fortify yourself?
I have gone back to one of my favorite holiday concoctions that I came up with myself. Apple brandy, splash of fireball, some smoked maple bitters, and fill up with a Fever Tree ginger beer.
Nice. Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah, it's lovely. A little sweet for some people, but I
Hmm.
enjoy it. The Fever Tree ginger beer gives it a nice spicy kind of a bite to it. So, and the fireball, a little cinnamon, but it's also a little hot. So,
Yeah.
and you, sir, what's your beverage of the evening? Ooh,
A dirty vodka martini.
classic.
Um, I use vodka and actually an Ann Arbor distilling vodka, their wheat
Hmm.
vodka. Uh, a little bit of Dolan Blanc vermouth and a little bit of olive brine.
Yes.
So I tend to think of it as more disheveled than dirty. And three blue cheese stuffed olives because I like the umami. So here, here. When we got some vintage martini glasses that were very small,
Right?
and I realized that the concept of a three martini lunch that I'd heard about was not based on modern huge
Margarita
martinis.
glasses, yeah.
No, it was based on, oh, hang on a second. My camera is doing a tracking thing, which is kind of weird. Um,
Hmm.
there we go. New camera. It has some automatic tracking feature that I have need to turn off. But um, three martini lunch was, well, they were small. And if you ever watch the opening of the Thin Man movie,
Hmm.
where Nick Charles is explaining to the bartenders in the nightclub how to, what dance rhythm you shake different drinks to, the martini he makes and then drinks is very small,
Right, yeah.
very small. Yep.
But there's the Thin Man is also the two martinis and whatever the lady's having.
He's drinking. They're all drinking a lot. So, oh, it's doing that again. Hang on. Oh, that's. I'm
Move
gonna
real quick, see.
stop. I'm gonna stop, and we're gonna start over.
All right.
because I need to turn off this thing. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Everyday Night. I'm Joe.
And I'm Jeff.
And Jeff, I've been thinking about history a lot.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I've been thinking
And,
about the future a lot, which
well, yeah, I've been thinking about history and the present and the future, all of them. It's a
that's a
lot.
lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to
Yes,
think about.
it is. And consequently, the fortification for this evening is significant. So, before we get into what we're going to talk about, why don't we start with that? How have you fortified yourself for the evening?
I have here my what's becoming a sort of favorite holiday concoction. It's an apple brandy, some smoked maple bitters, a splash of Fireball, and fill up with Fever Tree ginger beer. And you, what is
Nice.
your beverage for the evening?
I have a dirty vodka martini, a the Ann Arbor Distilling wheat vodka, a splash of Dolan Blanc vermouth, and some olive brine. So it's more disheveled than dirty.
Pretty dry though, it sounds like.
Well, the Dolan is, yeah, pretty, yeah, the Blanc vermouth is not a sweet vermouth and it's not a dry vermouth.
Oh, okay.
It's a kind of in between. So there's a little bit of sweetness that works well with the olive brine and the wheat vodka,
Okay.
and then three blue cheese stuffed olives for the umami. So
Okay.
you're here. And when we got some vintage martini glasses, I learned that why the three martini lunch wasn't the huge bowl of martini.
No,
It
but
was,
it's still three shots of liquor
it
in the middle of the
is.
day.
Yes, yes, but it's not six or eight shots of liquor.
Right.
Um, it's thought, and if you ever watch The Thin Man, when Nick Charles at the beginning is showing the bartenders how to make various cocktails and what dance rhythms to shake them to, he's making himself a martini and then he drinks it and it gets served to him and then he drinks it. And it's in a tiny, tiny glass. So, of course,
Right.
but he's constantly drinking. So,
And I learned at some point along the way that a lot of a lot of liquor served to our parents and grandparents were 70%, 70 proof was a hard liquor for
mhm.
them. We bourbons are now regularly 90, 120 proof
Yeah, yeah,
bourbons. Um, liquor just ain't what it used to be, or it ain't what it is now.
yeah.
So still,
So, anyway, uh, 85 years ago, January 6th, but a January 6th that something good happened, and that was President Franklin Roosevelt's State of the Union address to Congress. And in that, so this is January 6th, 1941.
mm,
So this was
before the war,
before, well, the war was going on, but the U.S. wasn't involved. So it was
yeah, right.
before Pearl Harbor. And uh, the purpose of his address was to convince the nation really that U.S. isolationism that had been really the dominant um, political philosophy since the end of World War One was not going to work anymore. And the U.S. needed to be involved in the world. And part of the justification for that was defending something he called the Four Freedoms. And a lot of people are familiar with the Four Freedoms because of wonderful paintings by Norman Rockwell. And the Four Freedoms he talked about were freedom of speech and expression, freedom uh, to worship, practice religion, freedom from want and freedom from fear. And thinking about the past and the present and the future, these freedoms are under attack.
Well, and notably, he believed those four freedoms are human freedoms, not American freedoms, that the
Hmm.
entire every human being in the world was entitled to those four
Yes.
things.
Yes. Um, and these actually um, started the process by which the United Nations, flawed but organization, but has occasionally done some good things like adopting a resolution of human rights,
Hmm.
um, in large part through the efforts of Eleanor Roosevelt after Franklin Roosevelt passed.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought we would discuss those and how they relate to the virtues and how the virtues are necessary to defend them and how they're under attack today.
All right. All right.
So,
Let's get into it.
yeah, and they do relate to the Bill of Rights too. So, for example, the First Amendment to the Constitution talks about freedom of speech and freedom of religion, which is both of those freedoms. And um, freedom of speech is under attack now. It's certainly been under attack around the world, but even just talking about the United States, um, the federal government, the Department of Justice, and it sticks in my throat to still call it that,
Uh-huh.
has threatened people who criticize, for example, following and we talked about political violence, we talked about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. People who have criticized him are their companies, their employers, their platforms, if they're online pundits or influencers that are being pressured to threaten them, they are being threatened for any criticism they offer of him.
Yes. And I want to draw a distinction because the argument I've heard against this was like, oh, well, the left invented cancel culture. And my point to my rebuttal to that is always that those were citizens acting individually on their conscience.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, these are anybody who was canceled is because enough people thought they were going to boycott you.
Yeah,
That's what canceled meant.
yeah,
This is the federal government going after someone for exercising their free speech. There are always consequences to speech.
yes,
The government doesn't have the government does not have the authority to be that consequence.
yes. And certainly not pre-censorship, not the one of the things that the result of that kind of pressure is self-censorship. When people become
Yes.
too afraid to actually speak, and it doesn't have to be restricted, and aren't consequences because people are just limiting themselves. I think another way this is being expressed is book banning.
Hmm.
Um, Since 2021, there have been nearly 23,000 book bans in public schools.
Well,
Is that
that's a
23,000 individual books or um,
is that several books multiplied by how many um, uh,
so 6,870 book bans across 23 states and 87 public school districts.
okay,
They've
so it's
documented, let me see I'm looking at the data here.
Good.
Book
I'll have to
ban,
look at the data.
index of book bans, um, data. It's a lot, it depends how
Well, yeah,
you
it's just not 23,000 titles. It's six, sounds like
instances,
6,800 titles
titles, yeah,
over different
schools, time,
school
yeah,
systems. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So the same book multiple times in different places and so on is, I think, how that's being counted. And that's that kind of censorship is a limitation on free speech because it's not that it's also in it's not no longer just in public schools. There are public libraries who are being told not to carry certain books. So
Yep.
certain books are not becoming available,
And
are
the
not being
the current cudgel being used is withdrawing funding.
right. Um, yeah, and it reminds me of Fahrenheit 451, Um, um, I think one of the tactics that's also happening that the ACLU has documented is redefining free speech as hate speech and
Right.
saying it's not free speech, it's hate speech, and we can ban hate speech.
Now, well, but that was established. That's been, I mean, there is a hate crime and there is such a thing as hate speech.
Yes,
The liberals established that, but it's being weaponized
it's
as
exactly it's being
anything. It's
right,
not hate. It's disagreeable speech is
right.
now hate speech.
And I always thought that um, it was unfortunately named hate speech and hate
Crimes.
crimes because it's terrorism. It is a hate crime is done. The motivation is an attempt to terrorize a group of people. It
Yes,
can be against an individual person for a reason, a bias, but the effect is to terrorize an entire group of people who share uh, the hated characteristic with the person or persons or institutions that were attacked.
which is
So,
also they're also trying to flip.
well, yes, they're also saying that no, this isn't a free speech, first right to assemble
Hmm.
and speak freely. No, it's labeling someone a terrorist.
Well,
Um,
because after the Patriot Act, if you're labeled a terrorist, and this was my whole why I screamed bloody murder when the Patriot Act
yeah,
was passed
yeah,
because it sidesteps a whole bunch of civil rights just by labeling something terrorism.
yeah,
You don't have to prove it's terrorism. You just have to decide by some sort of not well understood criteria that this is terrorism.
yeah,
And so now you get to get shipped off to Guantanamo without representation and held for as long as they feel like holding you without charges
yeah.
because you're a terrorist. You're not just a criminal, you're a terrorist.
And now shipping people to who are pulled off the street, we'll get into that because that falls under freedom of from fear,
Yeah.
I think. Um, but in order to stand up to this, our virtues include courage. We often come back to that as one of the foundational
Hmm.
virtues. I've said before that people have to have the courage to speak the truth, um, the the fortitude to do so honestly, and the strength to do so courteously. And that doing that exemplifies many of the virtues simultaneously.
Hmm.
Um, it takes courage. And if you're going to exercise your speech, I think you have a responsibility to be as honest as you can be. There are people who, although freedom of speech doesn't require honesty, but speech has consequences. And if you're not speaking the truth, people can call you on it. Of course, then get will get labeled terrorist or hate speech
Right.
for trying to speak the truth. Um, so I think courtesy. I still hold that it's gotten tougher to maintain my belief in courtesy at times. um, um, there's
Well,
a
courtesy, like respect, is a two-way street,
yes.
really. And
Um, although
it's an agreement.
I do remember my mother, who worked for years as a um, sales clerk in a retail department store, going first from bridal to maternity to infants and children. So she saw some of the same
Uh-huh.
women for years, and she said they started out terrible and they got worse. And she said the meaner they were, the nicer I was to them. And then she leaned over conspiratorially and said, because they really hate that. So she would weaponize her courtesy in that way to drive people crazy, um, who deserved it. Um, I think that it's I found a YouTube channel of these people who make up D&D based music, Dungeons and Dragons based musical songs that are
Oh,
really
okay.
funny. And the more you know about D&D, if you play D&D, it's really funny. And the one that really caught my ear was sometimes you got to backstab a motherfucker. And it it really seemed to suit my mood a little more than my constant refrain about courtesy, which I still will try to maintain. Um, although
Well,
sometimes you got to call a fucker a
so
fucker,
you gotta sometimes you gotta call a motherfucker a
a
motherfucker.
motherfucker. Yeah, exactly. And here's to that guy in the Ford plant
Yeah, right. He's
yeah,
apparently got a my beautiful wife who works at the Ford
yeah,
Motor Company in Dearborn
yeah.
has learned that there a GoFundMe page for that guy has already raised $700,000. So he can
Yes,
retire now.
yeah.
I
So
said,
for and for
man, I want to yell something from the factory floor and be able to retire.
so for the people who don't know that the occupant of the White House was in Michigan and he was touring a Ford plant, and this worker yelled at him and called him a pedophile protector, to which the occupant uh, gave him the flipped him the middle finger and said "fuck you" to him.
Like
And the
my
guy was
understanding is that he mouthed the words, but it's clear in the video.
mm,
There is no mistaking
yeah.
what he says
And
twice.
the worker was suspended. His union is involved now, but as you said, there's a GoFundMe page and he said he has no regrets.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah. So, um, so I think that we've talked about franchise as the franchise as my understanding of it, and people differ in their interpretation. My understanding of it is the 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 duty and the ability to take positive action.
Yes.
Yes, exercising the franchise, as people call voting now, because you can't have that opportunity, you also have the responsibility. So franchise is I associate with that. And I think that speaking the truth, exercising your speech, doing so honestly, um, is an exercise in franchise as well.
Hmm.
I've
Agreed.
I people have said I've heard people say deeds, not words, and I think that that misses the point that words are also powerful. The written word, the
Certainly.
spoken word, and I prefer, and my motto is words and deeds in accord. So your words and
Agreed.
your deeds should work together. Um, and so I
Yeah, I
think
think it's I think it's a as as our society is rife with now is an oversimplification of they're not saying don't talk, act. It's as you say, it's if you speak, you should act in accordance with your words.
exactly.
And it's not just deeds aren't enough. If you can't act, you should at least speak.
Yes.
So,
Um, so that's the first of the four freedoms was speech. And I think that speech actually relates to Maslow's hierarchy. These four freedoms relate to Maslow's hierarchy. Abraham Maslow is a psychologist who often is credited as saying, if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But he created something he called the hierarchy of needs. And the first level is physiological needs. The next level is safety needs, then love and belonging, esteem, and finally self-actualization at the top. As a pyramid, because you have fewer of each as it goes up some of it. And it's a stable structure. But freedom of speech, where we started with, is actually, I think, belongs to esteem and self-actualization, both of those
okay.
at the top. Um, and the next one was freedom to worship. And
Well, they're in the same the founders couldn't decide which one was more important, so they made the very first amendment about both of those things.
both of those, and freedom to assemble.
Well, that's us freedom of I consider that an
It's
extension of speech.
yeah, yeah.
But freedom of
Um,
religion, freedom of worship
yes,
is
the
right under
government shall make no law um, uh, uh,
respecting an
respecting
establishment
the
of religion
establishment
or
of religion.
prohibiting.
Right. Um,
And that has over the years, over the last couple hundred years, also become interpreted to mean and held up by the Supreme Court multiple times is also freedom from religion.
exactly. I was just about to say that, and I think that that's an important distinction too. Um, and I think that's also under attack. Um,
Yeah.
that um, there's have been, and we can look at this globally, focusing just on the United States to start. There have been vandalism attacks on Christian churches.
Yeah.
Um, um, there were um, attacks on Christian churches last year, 68% of which were vandalism. Those are down somewhat from previous years. Um, but despite that, there is no war on Christmas. There's no, you know, um, whereas the people who are complaining about the so-called persecution of Christians in the United States are
Yeah.
often largely ignoring actual persecution of Christians in Nigeria, persecution of Uyghur Muslims in China, and so on, which are really happening. Um, Hate crime data from the FBI um, shows that hate crimes against Jews and Muslims were up.
Yeah,
significantly. Among all religiously motivated hate crimes, 69% targeted Jews. Um, and it's so, and we could talk about the reasons for that and how the the reasons have morphed over the millennia
sure.
for that. But there's that freedom to be who you are, worship or not, believe what you believe or not, as long as it's not harming anyone, is under attack. There's certainly a thread in politics of something we've talked about before, uh, Christian dominionism,
Hmm.
an extreme right-wing thread of people who believe that Christians are destined to rule, own everything, rule everything, and want to turn the United States into a theocracy, not only in violation of the Constitution, but violating the second of these
Right.
freedoms.
And and some of these core motivators in that movement are also behind the Project 2025.
Hmm. Yeah.
They're
Oh, it's explicitly there.
The
Yeah.
Venn diagram is almost a circle.
Yeah. Exactly. Um, yeah, I think the 2025 Project 2025 group, and there's the absolute dominionist religiously motivated ones, and there's the profit motivated ones. And
Yeah.
that's where that dominionism has a profit motive built in. It's that's why it's a circle.
Yeah, and well, and then there's a the percentage that fills out the circle to me are the ones who just recognize that the utility of being, or of adopting or proselytizing those religious people. If I can,
If
they're
I
easy
can
to
be a
convince of things. So if I
if
can
I can be
convince
a
them,
barnacle on the shell of that thing, I may be able to suck some nutrients off of it or something.
well, no, no worse than that. I think if we can convince these are fanatics by nature. If we can
Hmm.
convince them that if I, who really don't care one way or another about their religion, if I can convince them that they need to be on my side, I
Oh,
can use that.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that was Nixon's
Yeah,
Southern strategy. He
absolutely.
and the whole silent majority and which came later and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A-
Yep.
Abortion, all of that is just utilitarian
Yeah.
power
Yeah.
grabbing.
Yep. Um, so that's um that's also uh, significant, that freedom to that's and it's under attack. And again, it takes courage to resist that by um, practicing believing what you believe in spite of the hate, in spite of the attacks, all of that. Um, the fact that um, synagogues and mosques have to often now are have armed guards outside, as do and schools. I mean, there was
Hmm.
just um, the firebombing of a synagogue recently and attacks on people celebrating holidays. And I mean, I don't need to believe what someone else believes to respect their right to practice it. I respect people's right to believe any foolish thing they believe or a sound thing they believe,
Yeah,
as long as they don't try to convince me that I have to believe it as well. Um,
right.
and as long as they don't use their beliefs as justification to restrict the rights and freedoms of other people.
Right. However, I reserve the right, I can withhold my trust from someone for the if I don't believe their judgment is good, right?
Yes,
And if someone whose entire personality is built around an imaginary sky friend, I don't have to trust that person. I don't have to respect their beliefs. Yes, I have to respect your
yes,
right to go off and do that in private.
yes,
I don't have to respect your right to do it in public or to force anybody to listen to you doing it in public.
right.
And I don't have to trust your judgment on anything else.
Yes. I yeah. And I think that it can be very difficult to separate someone's uh my
Yeah, your camera's
there we
shifting.
go.
You got to be constantly steering your camera.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to work on that. Um that it can be very difficult to um separate to see how somebody can have um seemingly logical and sensible in one area and then seemingly believe in something that's completely illogical and needs well that faith means it needs no proof, right? And um
And I
so
put all we're getting deep into my views on religion altogether, but to me, we've had to hear the word indoctrination a lot over the last few years.
yeah,
And the Ten Commandments and Bible studies in schools is indoctrination. Taking your children to church from the time they're a babe in arms until they're old enough to leave home is indoctrination. That's what it is. And of course you can't throw that off, or it's difficult to throw that off, or you have a deep, deep rooted feeling because you have never been taught anything but that your whole life.
I think it's very difficult for people to as they grow up to understand that either completely accepting or completely rejecting what their parents taught them,
Hmm.
religion or anything else, means they're still controlled by their parents. Either way, whether it's complete
Yeah,
acceptance or complete rejection,
yeah.
it's not independent. You're not arriving at it independently. Um, so I'm going to have to fix that. Um, it's a new camera, so
Right, right.
got some kind of tracking setup that I don't want, and I'll have to figure out how to turn off. Um, but people have uh, it's in the Constitution. It's essential. It's
Right.
as long as that freedom to worship includes the freedom to not, which it does.
And talking about courage, being able to step outside of what you have been taught your whole life
Yes,
takes an incredible amount of courage
yes,
to leave behind the thing that has meant comfort and reward your whole life. To set that aside, to look at it honestly, that's hard,
yeah.
hard to do.
That can be, yeah, yeah. That is. Yeah. Um,
And I'm not surprised more people don't do it.
yeah. Well, you're not surprised that more people don't. Yeah. Okay. Got it. There were a bunch
Yeah,
of
if you
negatives in
if you
there.
add up all the negatives there,
Yeah.
it comes out to a
Um,
positive.
the try to fix this. That's a little better. Um, the the third one is freedom from fear. And freedom from fear was talking about external enemies when Roosevelt was talking about it. But really now, um,
Well, fear of intimidation of any kind.
yes, masked, armed, body armored, equipped federal agents on the streets stopping people and asking for their papers, essentially.
Yeah,
Do you have any ID? Can you prove you're a citizen? We'll
yeah.
throw you in this car. We'll take you.
We'll just hold you for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And then since the law still requires they have to let you go
Yeah.
without until you get charges. There, if you haven't actually caused or committed a crime, there's a limit on how long they can hold you.
For now.
For now, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. This is what I was talking about a minute ago. Was that well, if you're a terrorist,
Yeah.
they just if they decide you're a terrorist or you're hiding something, so you must be a terrorist.
Hmm.
And this is something due process used to be a thing. We used to be able to count on it.
Well, and it's warrants are required in the Constitution. It says you
Right.
have to have a warrant. Well, with these warrantless stops have to have probable cause. And the there's not. These ICE agents are I mean, it's recently come out how poorly trained they are,
Oh, yeah.
how poorly vetted they are.
But it's also worth pointing out that the Supreme Court upheld not very long ago, I can't quote the date or time that within I think a certain distance from the border, skin
Yeah,
color and language and accent count as probable cause.
yeah,
That's sufficient to stop and
yeah.
ask.
And because it's like 100 miles from the
Yeah,
border,
something like that.
un unless you're in like the middle of Nebraska,
Yeah, right.
you know.
From any border. And
Yeah,
that's the other thing. If and that's why to me Minnesota is so weird
yeah,
that 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 the target is Minnesota and not Texas or Florida.
yeah.
Now I know that there are immigrant communities in every state all
Hmm.
over the union, but that Chicago and Minnesota are the targets
Yeah.
and not Florida and Texas.
Gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
who's the governor down there? Oh yeah,
Exactly. Who did the states vote for? Yeah.
right. Exactly. It's so clear. It's
It's
just so
very
clear,
clear that it's politically motivated. Um,
and is in fact intimidation. It's
yes. So freedom from fear. There are um, citizens, I salute the citizens there who have organized, who are taking groceries to families who don't want to leave their house, who are schools have been suspended because people don't want to, because they've been, um, parents would go to pick up children, and they've been grabbing parents and grabbing children,
yeah, or
and
leaving children, grabbing parents and leaving
leaving
children.
children. Um, and the shooting of Renee Good in her car as she was simply trying to leave.
Well,
it's okay.
I'm not trying to justify what was
Yeah.
done, but it's not simple in any
No,
way.
no. But it's it was
You'll never convince me that that was a justified shooting.
no,
Never.
no.
I've seen every single video that everybody else
Yeah,
has seen.
yeah,
If if you think the only thing that that ICE officer could do was kill her, you just want people to die.
yes.
There's just no excuse.
Yeah.
And
And we've talked about and the rules are a little different for sworn officers, but we've talked about use of lethal force in self-defense. They should have a higher standard, and their own rules say not to shoot at fleeing vehicles.
well, the argument
But
keeps coming down to,
yeah, it
well,
was
she wasn't fleeing, she was coming right at him.
yeah,
It,
yeah, it doesn't
still,
didn't look that way on the video to me, but um there are people who know more about the law and who will analyze that. Um, but that was not the only recourse,
no.
and not even the
They had her plate, they had their identity.
yes,
They could have let them go and picked them up anytime.
exactly. Um,
They even said the
the
spouse, the wife
yeah
said,
said
"That's our plate. We don't
yep.
change it. You can talk to us later."
Hmm.
And was she disrespectful? Absolutely. Is that justify being shot at? No.
No, so I think the climate of fear is what the United States always said, see, we're not like those other countries where people, they're secret police who are masked and people will be disappeared and people will stop you and ask you for your papers and your identification. And we're not like those countries. We are now.
We are absolutely.
Yeah.
I had this discussion with somebody at my workplace, unfortunately, who said, who I will only paraphrase and I will misquote, but the idea that when our current occupant first floated the idea of occupying Greenland
Yeah.
and say, well, we'll have to take it. We can take it. That's, there's no reason why we couldn't. Nobody will fight with us. Blah blah. And I pointed this out. I said, this is strongman madness talk.
Yes.
And they said, he's just bullying them to get a base, a submarine base. I said, the United States, we are supposed to stand between bullies
Yes.
and those people. That's what we're supposed to do.
And we also, they have said, you want a base? Fine.
We already have four
We have
bases.
bases there. You want to build stuff there? Fine. You want to talk about mineral rights? Fine. We just don't, yeah. And in
We don't want to lose our
taking,
health care.
taking over Greenland will mean that we'll be at war with the rest of NATO. NATO will then kick out, close all the US bases all around the world, confiscate all of the resources, kick out all the military who are based there, and we will be isolated. We won't have the reach. I'm.
No, yeah.
It's and oh, and sell off all their investments in the U.S. and all their bonds and all their treasuries and all their. um, it's so.
Yeah,
It's
it would be forget actually trying to fight anybody from another country.
yeah.
It would be an economic disaster unheard of in the entire world.
Yes. it would. As
Worse than Russia's the sanctions on Russia.
as would going after the chairman of the Federal Reserve,
Yeah.
which is the independence of the Federal Reserve is one of the reasons that the US is that the dollar has been the default currency.
Hmm.
And I'm having trouble with this camera.
And even that has been slipping even beforehand. We
Yes.
are
Well,
losing markets to China.
because nobody can trust us.
Hmm.
Um, okay. So the fourth one, freedom from want. Well, freedom from want when people's livelihoods, the economy, their access to health care, the cost of rent and groceries, and those these are fear and want. Those are the first two levels of Maslow's hierarchy. Those are the
Hmm.
base ones. Um, and um, it's to the self-destructive idiocy of of uh of what's going on is mind-boggling. And yet I still know people who are that hardcore 30% who are, yeah, whatever he says, man, it's I'm with him. Things are better for me. Yeah, I don't think so. But
Yeah, well, you can't prove it by me in this state anyway. Well, maybe gas came down a quarter a gallon. Big deal.
yeah.
Um,
But he in his speech to just yesterday, he lied about okay, inflation down slightly.
yeah, but it's not down to levels we've never seen before. It's
No,
not
it's
everything is
everything.
hyperbole, everything.
Everything is the biggest, the best, the most, the greatest, and it's all a lie.
Right.
And that doesn't seem what boggles my mind, and I think it's related to worship, freedom to worship, is people don't seem, it doesn't seem to matter to the hardcore followers.
Right. I think that the hardcore followers believe or have been taught or will want to believe that once all of these other people are removed and we have, and I keep hearing this phrase, a homogeneous society, everything will be rose water and downy pillows forever and ever. This is a common authoritarian
Yeah.
thing that no, it's them. As soon as we get rid of them, everything will be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be happy. You'll have work. You'll have money. You'll have safety as soon as we get
Yeah.
rid of all these people. Well,
Is
as soon as we get rid of those people, there's a whole other group of people that are now have to be gotten rid of.
yes. And it never stops.
It never
And
stops.
in their first administration, they actually used the term blood and soil.
Oh yeah. Well, they're now using lines from white supremacist anthems as slogans and mottos.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
And what was it? Christy Nome even said, "One of ours, all of
yeah,
yours."
there's no, and that's been, people are saying, oh, that's something that the Nazis used in a particular village, and they, there's no evidence for that, just to be clear. But it's,
I'm not relating it to any
no,
particular Third Reich thing,
yeah,
but it's one of ours, all of yours is retaliatory, not
yeah,
is retaliation, not justice.
yes, yep. Well, and we've talked before about the difference between vengeance and justice.
Yeah,
And
right,
this is an example. This is why I've always said justice, not vengeance, because he said, I'll, I'll be your
retribution.
retribution. Um, the, the, Norse culture, which you've studied
Some.
some, had some attitude about respect and people who are smart.
I'm not
As I
sure what you mean
recall,
by that.
you said, I remember you saying something about that the person who was smart was respected or clever or thoughtful or
Oh,
intelligent.
well, yeah,
Or,
there are lots of lines in the Havamal, which is the
Mhm.
High One's song, which is supposedly Odin as he hung on the tree of knowledge. He's given wisdom, right? He gives up an eye for a drink from this pod, and okay.
Mhm.
And one of the thing, and this is his as he hangs on the tree, he is singing this song as the wisdom sort of pours into his head. And one of many of the stanzas are about, if you're out among strangers, keep your mouth shut. The wise man, holds his tongue, keeps his own counsel. There's a lot of that. And so you're not supposed to be boastful or a braggart in
Right,
company.
right.
You're supposed to be thoughtful. You're supposed to watch around you. Keep your mind focused. Don't drink too much. There's lots and lots of those kinds of advice. And some of them are things like don't judge anything until it's done. Don't judge a river, judge ice when crossed, judge a woman when married, judge a sword when tried. You know.
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know
Yeah.
when to walk away, know when to run. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of it is sort of simple kind of wisdom, but and
I just remember you talking about that because I was thinking in relation to this, but just in general, of people who uh separating my respect for somebody for their thought, their good nature, maybe their caring nature, and not being able to respect them because they're they're a dumbass. They make stupid decisions.
hmm
They mean well. Their heart, I've said it this, their heart is in the right place, but their head is up their ass. And that is, I find hard to respect somebody who,
well, there's the base level of respect, and then there's admiration.
yeah,
You can respect someone as a human being
yeah,
and show the basic respect. You know, you're not going to shove them down because you think they're an idiot. You're not going to push them
right.
around, or you're going to treat them with a base level of respect, but you don't have to trust them with with decisions or
Well, treat them with a
admire
base
them.
level of courtesy, but respect is a little harder.
Okay, all right. There's a semantic, but we're saying the same thing.
Two beers and a puppy.
Yeah, right, right. So
Um,
yeah, we're saying the same thing.
yeah,
You've got to treat them like a human being, but you don't have to overlook their shortcomings.
right. Yeah.
That's what I was saying before. I mean, I know this person I was just talking about who in my workplace. I think he's in general he's a decent guy, decent
Mhm.
human being. He works with the homeless. He takes in, you know, borders and stuff to try and get guys on their feet and get them jobs and help them out. And it's cost him in
Yeah.
a lot of cases. And that's all admirable.
Yeah.
But you can still be wrong-headed about things. I think that it should be obvious to anybody else.
Yeah. Well, and nobody's 100% right about everything 100% of the time,
I beg your pardon, sir.
except for our wives.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, short of marrying us, they were right. They were on the right track, I
Yeah,
think.
see, there's the thing. So,
The fatal
um
flaw.
but so the four freedoms, I keep coming back to Franklin Roosevelt. Often, my father, who my parents, who lived through the flu pandemic, the Great Depression, World War II, and my father said to me when I was growing up, he said Franklin Roosevelt saved the country, and I believe that. And I think that um, what we're seeing now is the culmination of the assault on the New Deal, which
The
has been,
liberal consensus, I've heard it
yeah,
called.
hated by that right wing since Roosevelt. And I remember watching MASH, the TV series, and when Frank Burns left, they brought on Charles Emerson Winchester of
Hmm.
Boston, and there were times when he talked about in a couple of episodes about how awful Roosevelt was and just
Yeah.
how terrible. Well, yeah, the one of the primary causes of death among elderly people before Social Security was starvation.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's, yeah, are there no workhouses? Are there,
Are there no prisons? Yeah.
let them die and
Decrease the
decrease
surplus
the surplus
population.
population?
Thank you, Mr. Scrooge,
Yeah, exactly.
and a Merry
Um,
Christmas.
bah,
Well, yeah, there to me, I'm thankful for living in this country, uh, or I always have been, at
yeah,
least. But to me, there's the argument of, well, Social Security and all these abuse and fraud. I'm like, our entire justice system, right, is based on the premise that 100 guilty men should go free before one innocent man is punished,
hmm
right? So I extend that. I said 100 people should get food they don't need before one person starves.
yeah,
There is no excuse for a single human to starve in this country. There's no excuse. And there's no excuse that we can't afford to care medically for
yes.
everyone.
And
It should be,
Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid have the lowest instances of fraud of
yes,
any government programs and lower than I mean, the
that's
instances
the thing.
of,
You
yeah,
cannot convince me that privatization reduces fraud.
no, no.
Uh-uh.
I've
The
worked,
difference is that you've got in this system, you've got people at the bottom trying to get around things so they can have a slightly better life.
mhm,
Whereas when in privatization, the fraud happens at the very top.
right. Yeah.
And
Yes. And like man in Florida who defrauded the Medicare Medicaid system for hundreds of thousands of dollars and was elected to the Senate.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So,
But I think that those things, you know, things like food benefits and medical access, not access to insurance coverage,
access
access to
to, yeah,
medicine
yeah,
should be should absolutely be a perk of living in this country.
yes.
We should take pride in it. We should be able to point to it and say we do it better than the rest of the world.
And we don't.
We do not. We have the worst outcomes. We have higher mortality rates for children, and we pay more than anyone.
Yep.
Anyone.
Yeah.
So, sorry, you're not
Yep.
you're not selling me that we do it better. We
No,
don't.
we
We
don't.
are failing.
Yep. So on that happy note,
Yeah.
so
So
the
have another drink.
yeah, I think I will. The four freedoms of speech, worship, freedom from want, freedom from fear, um, are under attack and never fully achieved them. They've always been under attack, but now even more so. And um, it's, I'd like to end this on a hopeful note. I ain't got one right now, except that the people who are like people in Minnesota who are organizing, the people who are taking to the streets, the more people who identify, more people identify with the No Kings movement than with the either party and certainly with the MAGA movement. More people
Yeah.
identify with the No Kings movement. And um, we just have to keep, fortitude, keep
Well, and that's
fighting.
I think that's our message is that
Yeah,
courage, honesty, fortitude,
fortitude.
these are our armor.
Yeah,
We have to keep them polished
yeah,
in these times more than almost any other.
yeah. Speak the truth, do so courageously. Um,
Now, however, I would like to end this with a little bit of go out, peaceably protest, loudly
yeah,
protest, be
yes,
annoying,
yes,
don't be dangerous.
yes,
Don't step in front of vehicles. Don't do that.
no,
Stay on the sidewalk. Stand where you're supposed to, but be loud, be annoying. Polite dissent is not useful dissent.
no. It's got to be disruptive,
Yeah.
but absolutely within the limits.
Well, you
You're
can't say in the
you're
limits
right.
of the law because they can make it all
No,
illegal. You
right.
got to say, you know,
Within the
stop to
limits
me.
of don't of endangering yourself.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Be careful. Be
yes.
informed. Take precautions. Look out for each other. Um, I mean, stopping traffic is technically illegal, but it's the kind of thing that protests generally get away with,
Hmm.
right? A large enough mob of people standing in an intersection causes a disruption, and then the disruption is purposeful. The disruption is to gain attention,
Yeah.
right? Bombing a building
No,
is not what we're talking about.
no.
Public assembly, peaceful protest, right? Don't
Yes,
destroy property, occupy space. Don't destroy property.
right. Occupy public space.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah. We talked about political violence and how that's self-defeating. Um, self-defeating because it gives the oppressive regime an excuse. Um, so so yes, be safe, be loud, speak up, be
yep.
brave. Yep. And remember the four freedoms. So,
And also remember to hit the like
like
button
button.
before you leave. Recommend these incredibly erudite arguments to all of your friends. Share, do all those things.
Yep.
And until you sit down with us for another one of these sessions, be thou
A good night.
and true.